Code enforcement's ready? Ready? With that, I'll call us to order. Before we get to the pledge, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Drew Smith. I'm the Special Magistrate for the city. My role here is that of an independent fact finder. The way we'll proceed is the city will begin each case, the clerk will announce each case, the city will start. They will present the evidence that supports their case. After they are done, the respondents will have an opportunity to address me. If they have any questions of the code enforcement officer, you will have that opportunity, and you'll have the opportunity to present to me any evidence you'd like me to consider. When all the evidence has been introduced and all the testimony has been given, I will enter a verbal ruling here today with my findings on the case, and within the next day or two, I will send out orders that you will receive in the mail that will put that order and ruling into writing. With that, if everybody would rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. And when we're done with the pledge, anybody who's going to give testimony today, if you'll remain standing, I'll swear everybody in a mass swearing in. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, everybody who's going to present testimony, if you'd stand and raise your right hand. Do you all swear or affirm the testimony you give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? And you can all sit down. Ma'am, you'd asked me earlier if you could speak on behalf of your father. Are you speaking on his behalf, or are you translating today? Okay. Then you're good. And you can call our first case.
Case number 2020-1146, Myra Salami, owner, Kathy Smart, Jane Palmer, Mary Halloway, owners. Location of violation, 4403 Brave Lane, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, 2015 International Property Maintenance Code, sections 108.1.1, 108.1.5, 5, 6, 8, and 9, 301.2, 304.1.1, 8, and 304.7, adopted by the St. Cloud City Code Section 10-33. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed unsafe conditions with the roof partially collapsing on side of the dwelling.
Good afternoon, Melissa Howells, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. Again, I am presenting this case for the property located at 4403 Brave Lane. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, a copy of the notice of violation posted on the property in City Hall, a copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavits of postings, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, a copy of the deed to the property, a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $233.70. The owner is here present and has received copies of everything I'm submitting to you. On June 17, 2020, I received a complaint that the roof on this house was collapsing. I had Joe DePriest, who is the deputy building official, meet me at this location. You could actually see the roof caving in from Old Canoe Creek Road when approaching the subdivision. We met with the resident who resides at this location and explained that we received a complaint on the roof. We further explained that Joe DePriest needed to take a closer look at the roof to see if it was safe for them to be living in the residence. He did not want us to come inside the residence, but stated he could get the neighbor's ladder for Joe to take a better look from the outside. Mr. DePriest took several photos while up on the ladder showing the deterioration of the roof. After taking photos of the roof, he told the resident that he would need to confer with the building official to make a determination on whether the dwelling would need to be red tagged as an unsafe structure. I explained to him that I would be sending a notice of violation out either way, stating that the roof would need to be structurally sound within 30 calendar days. He understood. 20 photos were taken that day. You could actually see inside the dwelling. On July 17th, a reinspection was performed and the roof was still in the same condition and there was no permit on file. 2 photos were taken. This is from the roadside. On July 21st, due to the COVID-19 virus, the post office is not having residents sign for their certified mailings, so I posted the property and City Hall with the notice of violation. I did an affidavit of posting, and I took 1 photo of the posting. On September the 10th, another inspection was performed, and a blue tarp had been put on the roof. The HOA president approached me and stated that she had a contractor do this for the residents. I took 3 photos while I was there. On October 19th, I checked the permit records and there was no permit application on file for replacement of the roof. I also performed a reinspection at the property and took 2 photos showing that the blue tarp is already now falling apart that was placed on the roof. There's a closer version. It's starting to rip at the top as well. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of having an unsafe structure due to the roof partially collapsing and not being maintained. I would like to give the resident until December the 1st, 2020 to obtain a re-roof permit and replace the roof or accrue a fine in the amount of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request that the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $233.70 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. I do not have Mr. Joe DePriest here, but I do have the actual building official here if you have any questions for him as well.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes my presentation.
Respondent? If you'd start by letting me know your name and relationship to the property.
My name is Margaret Salemi, and this is David Lohman. We both reside.
You're gonna have to get a little bit closer to that microphone when you're speaking. Yeah, there you go. If you'd say it again.
I'm Myra Salemi, and this is David Lohman,
Okay,
and he will probably be speaking.
okay.
We understand that we need a new roof, and we would love to get a new roof, but we're broke. Times are tough. Osceola County has the highest unemployment. I've made $2,400 year to date. We would love to have this roof. We have nowhere else to go. We understand we've got to fix this roof. It has to be done, but I don't know what to do. I'm lost.
Right now, the roof is covered,
But yeah, it's covered.
so, I mean, it is like repelling water. There's no water coming into the house. So if we get some time, he's got an interview tonight. Hopefully, things will, we'll start getting back on track and we can get things done.
We agree 100%. We know we need a roof. We're not
Yeah.
disputing that.
Well,
It's just a matter of, we can't pay these fines, A girl kept coming, you're gonna be fined for this, fined for that, fined for that. Like I
Yeah.
said, I made $2,400 year to date, and we have bills to pay, electric and water mainly, and food.
And I'm sensitive to that. The reality of the situation, though, is that it cannot continue in this state. And there's clearly a violation. You've acknowledged it. I don't think any of us are disagreeing about whether or not there's a violation here and a violation that needs to be addressed. Code enforcement has asked for a December 1st deadline. What is the earliest you think you can get that done?
I can probably do it by December 1st. What is this, October, November?
Probably.
I'll make sure. How about that? I'll figure something out. I don't know what yet, but December 1st, we can abide by that.
I hear you. Can I get the building official up? If you'd just step over here to the side, I want to ask a couple of questions just on the process. Because I don't want to enter an order that you can't comply with, so I want to make sure that I'm giving you a reasonable amount of time to get the work done. From re-roof permit through construction, what do you think December 1st, when do you think they would have to start the process to be done by December 1st? Contractor lined up, re-roof permit submitted, done by December 1st.
4 to 6 weeks should be ample time to get that done,
If they started when?
if they started now.
Today?
Yeah.
And that's where my concern is. I'll let building official and the code enforcement officer, if you want to step up, because I get both of you to weigh in on this. Because I thought that's what the answer was going to be, and under the circumstances, and I hear what you're saying, you have an interview today, you said, maybe get some income coming in that would help you certainly get this done. The last thing I want to do is, if they're working towards getting a resolution, is for us to stack fines on top of the expense of the roof. So I'm inclined to give them maybe a little bit more time, if just a couple of weeks, assuming they keep that blue tarp up and in good repair, which may mean you have to get a new tarp put up there. But I want to hear the input, probably more from the building official, but it's your case. So both of your input, if I gave them until the 15th of December to get that work completed. Re-roof permits in by December 1st, but the work completed by the 15th.
I have no issue even continuing it until January 1st, if you would like to do that. However,
I'm hesitant to push it into the holidays because then that gets hectic and
Okay.
that could create more problems if I push it into the holidays for a compliance date.
okay. However, my only concern is what his definition of a re-roof is, the city's definition of a re-roof. I mean, is he thinking he can just patch like one little hole? You understand? It's the entire roof. Okay, then I'm good with whatever y'all decide on time frame.
Building official, you okay with a little bit of
Yeah,
extra time
yeah,
for the completion of the job?
Sure, as long as it gets done. You know, we can't just keep kicking the can down the road.
And, okay. I hear that. Now if I get the respondents back to the microphone, and code enforcement officer, don't go far.
I won't.
So the other thing the city has asked for today is $233.70, and that's their cost incurred in bringing this action. I would much rather see you putting that money towards getting the violation cured.
We would too.
I'm not willing to write it off entirely because there is an expense involved in these cases that it's
Sure.
not fair to pass on to the taxpayers ultimately.
I understand.
I would be inclined in this case to give them 6 months to pay that amount. How does code enforcement feel about that? Code enforcement gave me the thumbs
That
up.
would be excellent.
So that is my ruling. I'll put it all together now, but I do find that the violation cited by the code enforcement does exist. And I am ordering the respondent to cure that violation. And again, you will get all of this in a written order.
Come in the mail.
You will be ordered to submit your re-roof permits by December 1. And probably if you're going to get the work done by the 15th, you probably want to get those in as soon as you can get them in.
How long is the permitting process?
Permitting process, a week from issuance to, from application to
I thought it
issuance.
was like a month. There was a note, as a matter of fact, for,
It should
when
be
all
pretty
this is
short,
going
and with
on.
this being a pending
Okay.
case, they'll probably fast track it through as much as they can. The
Okay.
important thing, though, is to make sure your contractor understands, or whoever's doing the work understands what needs to be done.
Right.
Because what you don't want to happen is to submit an application and then not have all the boxes checked and have that
Right.
application kicked back to you. So
I
you want to make
understand.
sure you get that application right the
Okay.
first time. But application by December 1st, completion of work by December 15th. And if not, if either of those dates are missed, a fine of $100 per day will accrue until compliance is met. And I will also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city, but I'm going to give the respondent 6 months to pay that cost. And again, my reasoning behind that is so they can put those dollars towards repairing the violation. And again, you'll get it all in writing. Do you have any further questions for me?
no, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Case number 2020-1186, Joanne Miller, location of violation 1710 Turner Road, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, St. Cloud Land Development Code, Sections 3.3.1F and 13.3. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed a shed to be installed prior to obtaining a permit.
Good afternoon. Alex Miller, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I'm presenting the case for this property located at 1710 Turner Road. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: copy of the courtesy notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation posted on the property in City Hall, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted on the property in City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavits of posting, evidence of mailings, copy of the code sections in violation, a copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $222.70. The respondent is here, and I already provided with all the copies that I'm providing to you. On June 22nd, 2020, during routine patrol, I noticed a shed was installed at this location. I checked the permit records and found no permit was on file. One photo was taken. On June 23rd, I mailed a courtesy notice of violation by regular mail to the owner on record, advising the owner of this violation. I gave her until July 8th to obtain a permit for the shed. On July 8th, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by regular mail to the owner on record, and I gave the owner 7 working days to obtain the permit for the shed. On July 23rd, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by certified mail and gave the owner 7 working days to obtain the permit. Joanne, the owner, called and spoke with Supervisor Sparkman and stated that the shed had been there for a few years and was not aware that a permit was required to install the shed. She also stated that she will get the paperwork from her son and will apply for the permit. John was provided with the address and telephone number for the building permit. One photo was taken of the shed. On July 28th, Supervisor Sparkman went to the property to verify the complaint and to take pictures of the violation. 2 photos were taken. On August 13, Joanne, the owner, called and spoke with Officer Neal and stated that she was working on getting the paperwork to apply for the permit. On August 18, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. I mailed a notice of violation by regular mail to the owner on record, requesting the owner to obtain a permit within 7 working days. On September 1st, I checked the permitting records. No permit application had been submitted. Due to the pandemic and not receiving the certified mailing back, I mailed a notice of violation by regular mail. I posted the property in City Hall with a notice of violation. An affidavit of posting was completed and 2 photos were taken. On September 8 and September 15, I checked that a permit application has not been submitted to the building department. I mailed a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail to the owner on record. I posted the property in City Hall with a statement of violation and notice of hearing, and an affidavit of posting was completed. 1 photo was taken of the posting. On October 19, 20th, I checked the permitting records. No permit application has been submitted to the building department. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of not obtaining a permit for the shed installed at this location by the time specified. The city will recommend that the respondent be given until October 30th, 2020 to obtain the proper permit or remove the shed, or a fine in the amount of $250 a day be assessed until compliance is met. The city will also request that the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $222.70 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And this concludes my presentation.
Respondent?
How are you all? Well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I had went to the city. I filed paperwork. They said that I needed a appraise or something.
A survey?
Uh-huh.
A survey? Was it a survey maybe that they said?
A survey. And didn't know where to get it from. Did go to the courthouse in Kissimmee, and they said I had to go through email before I can get in there and do this and do that. So, I mean, like I put the shed there, it was there for 3 years before they came out to say that I needed a permit, not knowing that I needed a permit. You know, so that's what the point I'm in. I mean, I got all the paperwork except the appraisal.
Survey. Survey.
Survey, yeah, except the survey.
And have you made any headway on getting the survey?
Don't know where to get it from.
When did you buy your house?
November 15, 2015.
Do you happen to have the paperwork? Do you have a file with all the paperwork from when you bought the house?
I don't know where it's at. I got the house built through Habitat for
Okay.
Humanity.
Okay. Sometimes there may be, if you had that paperwork, there may have been a survey when you purchased the house, but ultimately, you're going to have to get a permit, and ultimately, I suspect the building official is going to insist on that survey. I suspect the building department's already gone through to see if they might have an old survey. I think most building departments will. They must not have. That's why they're asking you for one.
Yes, she did. She did go through it, the lady at this place.
Jack, can you come up?
Yes, yes.
Any suggestions from your end on how to point her in the right direction so she can get that survey, so she can get her permit? Because the sooner she can get the survey, the sooner she
Sure.
can get a permit, the sooner code enforcement can put this case to bed.
We can try to get with her and help her in that regard behind the scenes. I think from a compliance standpoint, the 30th is obviously going to be a little aggressive.
Yeah.
So we would envision a compliance date sometime in November at your discretion would
Okay.
be acceptable. I think Habitat, if this was a Habitat, they may be of some assistance to start with, as well as the property appraiser. I don't know. Those might be places to start.
That helps. So to understand that, what counsel for the city was saying was that they may be able to, maybe, they can't do a survey for you, they can't do this for you. But maybe they can work with you a little bit more and try to point you in the right direction. The other thing that he said was that the city's okay with giving you some more time to work through that issue. And the city, you're not aware of any reason why that shed could not be permitted in its current location. And the reason they want that survey is so they can see boundary lines and make sure that what she just said is accurate, that it can stay where it is, it doesn't need to be relocated or something on the property. That's why that survey is important. So,
May I say something? Actually, if she contacts Osceola County, since the house was built with Osceola County, they should have a copy of the survey on record with Osceola County. Since the house was built with Osceola County, if she contacts Osceola County, they should have a copy of the survey available for her at Osceola County.
and then before I enter my ruling, the city has asked for their cost of $222.70 to be paid. You heard the last case. I'm inclined to grant that. Typically, we give you 7 days to pay that. Are there any financial hardships you're dealing with right now that would make 7 days to pay those costs?
I'm on disability.
I'm-
I'm on disability.
Well, they have to be paid eventually. Now's your opportunity to tell me why you might need more than 7 days to pay those costs.
I'm on disability. I only get $900 and something a month.
How much time would you feel comfortable in paying $222.70, keeping in mind that there may be some expense in getting that permit?
I'm not gonna put a deadline because I don't want to say and don't have it.
I am going to put a deadline, so now I'm giving you the opportunity to ask for the time that you think you need.
Maybe about the 1st of December.
I can work with that.
Okay.
So based on the evidence testimony received, I'll find in favor of the city, find that the property is in violation for having a permit on a shed on the property without proper permits. I'm going to give the respondent until, I'm going to go ahead and make it easy for myself in drafting the order. December 1, to have that permit issue resolved, which means permit in hand or shed removed.
Okay.
And also December 1 for payment of city's costs.
Okay.
Okay, and again, you'll get all of that put into writing. You'll receive an order from me that puts all of that into writing.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Case number 2020-1237, Borat Jerem and Sandra Borat Jerem, owner, location of violation 517 Georgia Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation 2015 International Property Maintenance Code, Sections 102.2, 301.2, 304.1.18, 304.13, 304.15, 305.2, 305.3, 502.1, 505.4, and 601.2, adopted by the St. Cloud City Code, Section 10-33. Description of violation: failure to prohibit but rather allowed the residential dwelling to be lived in without proper maintenance and repairs up to code.
Melissa Howells, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, a copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, a copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $249.70. The respondent's daughter/property manager is here and has received copies. On June 23, 2020, I received a call from Christina Dorking, a tenant who resides at this location. She stated that the dwelling that they are residing in has a lot of code violations and doesn't feel safe in the house. She requested that code enforcement come to the property and inspect the property for violations. I set up the inspection for June 24th. Officer Durbin and I met with the tenant and took 39 photos of potential violations that were noted.
As you're going through these,
Okay.
you're gonna have to
I
describe.
knew you were
them
going to
for
ask me.
because-
Okay, so this photo was just walking in the front door. I had seen that there were several areas of the ceiling that I was a little concerned about.
What was the concern in that?
Well, I wasn't quite sure because the tenants had stated that the roof was leaking, and there were a couple of areas where they had just been patched and then cracked. But there were no actual indications like of water damage, so I think that those are fine. This was a receipt that they had given me from Hightower Electric on some work that had been done prior to me coming. This is the thermostat showing it was 82 degrees and that the interior was not cooling to what they had set it at. This was inside the bedroom. They did say that this area was leaking. This is where the carpet attached, well, the carpet in the bedroom, you could see down through the corner, the crack there. You could see light coming up like through the flooring. That was just some rotted wood, and the carpet wasn't really attached to the floor. More indications of possible leaking. Light fixtures without protective coverings. These I wasn't quite sure about, although the electrician has confirmed that this is up to code and safe. This is in the kitchen. They kind of ran it around the, I don't know what you want to call it, a little baseboard around the kitchen sink, as well as over behind it. I had requested GFIs be put in, but due to the house being so old, they were grandfathered in. They did not were not required to put GFIs in. This is on the exterior of the property. This particular window, it's kind of hard to see, but that plexiglass was pulled back away from the boards. The tenant was pushing on it to show me. There were several leaks, gaps, I should say, gaps in the siding that needed to be fixed. I just took a photo of the air conditioner because I wasn't sure whether it was the handler or the outside unit that was not working properly. The rear door, there were some rotting wood damages that I took photos of, some gaps, a sewer, there was a sewer stack that had possibly not been done up to code. All of these I had to confer with the building department just to clarify, because I am not a building inspector. This is an issue that's happening with the house that later on I'll get into, but there's some flooring that's giving out, and it's, again, because of the age of the house. They've actually like stuck little pieces of concrete up above the cinder blocks to keep the flooring up. I'm having an issue because the owners cannot fix some of these items with somebody living in it, living in the dwelling. You can't rip flooring up when you got somebody living in it. This is just a general picture of underneath the dwelling. Again, I don't know what this board was doing, propped the sewer line. I had rotten wood around the window. I had a screen missing, more siding that was missing and had holes in it. The only portion of the roof I really had concerns with was the back porch. I tried to take a closer picture of it. It kind of waved. They said it was leaking and it was kind of waving, and I am requesting that a licensed roofing contractor verify that this roof is structurally sound. When I inspected the water heater, I was trying to get to the electrical lines to inspect whether or not they were actually covered in the correct protective covering, and it was actually boarded up in the children's bedroom to where I could not get to it, so I put that in my letter. I had exposed electrical wiring that needed to be in protective covering, plus the light itself needed to have a protective cover. The shower, I don't know what kind of material is in the shower, but it's a very, very thin, it's not tile. I don't know what it is. And there's nothing behind it, so when you push on it, it gives way. So that would need to be corrected. More rotten wood. I had some issues with the flooring, the toilet rocking, the floor was uplifting there. More gaps. That's just a close-up of the electrical wiring. That's the flooring where it was kind of giving out. There were several areas where the floor was giving out. I didn't see any leaking going on in this porch area, but the tenants are stating that it's leaking. On June 26th, I sent out a notice of violation by certified mail to the owner of record to correct the violations listed on the notice. Some of the violations included the AC unit not cooling, the roof leaking in several areas of the house, holes in flooring where you could see to the ground from the interior, rotten wood, unstable flooring, electrical appliances needing covered, holes in exterior siding. Around one of the windows, there was gaps in rotting wood, around the rear door as well. Possible sewer leaking, no access to the water heater, exposed electrical wiring, shower walls not safe with open gaps, flooring in bathroom not impervious to water damage, no screen in the bathroom window, no exhaust fan, and several other minor violations listed in the notice. I gave the respondent 30 calendar days to comply, and any items requiring a state licensed contractor would need to complete the work due to this being rental property. On July 1st, I spoke with the owner of the property's daughter, Chantel, who is also the property manager for the property. We spoke in length on the violations. She also explained items that had been previously completed per the tenant's request. She stated she would be scheduling work to be performed. On July 23rd, I received a call from Dan with Hightower Electric explaining that the work that he had completed on the property, I asked for a letter in writing that the work that was performed was by a licensed contractor and that the electric was up to code. I received that letter on July 28th. On August 11th, a reinspection was performed on the property. I met with the owner and the tenant. Several violations had been corrected. The owner provided the tenant with 3 window AC units due to the ductwork in the attic having holes in it. So it wasn't the actual unit itself. The ductwork has some holes in it. But the owner did supply them to turn the unit off to not run their electric bill up with 3 AC units. The water heater was relocated to the rear porch of the house, but with no permit. I requested a permit be obtained. The stove was replaced. The siding on the exterior was fixed. The sewer gap was fixed. A screen was put on the bathroom window. The window with gaps was fixed, and several other minor items were fixed. I gave the owner 2 more weeks to complete the items not corrected. Upon returning to the office that same day, one of the tenants called me upset that I was giving the owner more time. I explained that my ultimate goal was to get compliance. And since they had been working on the violations, I had no problem giving the owner extra time. On August the 12th, I sent an email to the owner's daughter with a list of the items not corrected, which included light fixtures, all needed protective coverings. The carpet was not sealed down. Weather stripping was needed on both exit doors. The shower wall was not secure and now has a crack in it. The AC ductwork had not been corrected, and the floor in the bathroom was not giving away any longer. However, there was something now braced underneath, which I showed you was the piece of concrete, and it was kind of like protruding up through the floor a little. It wasn't coming through the floor, but you could feel the rock underneath the floor. I also advised that I still needed something from a licensed roofer stating the rear porch of the house was safe and not leaking due to it sagging in several areas. On August 18th, I made contact with the tenant and owner to set up a reinspection on September the 1st. There were a few issues going on with the owner, stating that the tenants were not making the property available for work to be performed. The tenants were stating that they were staying all day long while they worked full-time, and they would stay all day long on their days off. So I had a little conflict there. On September 1st, a reinspection was performed. The owner and tenant was present. Not all violations were corrected. The permit for the water heater was applied for but not obtained. It has since been obtained. The ductwork was not repaired, and I have not received a letter from the licensed roofers as of today. There were still open gaps around the exit doors. The shower walls had not been secured, and there was a hole in the wall above the bathroom sink. 4 photos were taken. And this is the wall in between the children's bedroom and the bathroom. They did put in a vent, although all they had to do was put the screen on the window, and that would have been in compliance, and they had done that, but I took a photo of it. That's showing the rear door, that there's still light coming through. I need, some more weather stripping put on. There's the water heater, which I now had access to. The inspectors are supposed to be there tomorrow from the city to inspect that. There's some flooring issues that I think various areas need to be still replaced. The bathroom was fixed. There's the hole above the bathroom sink where the old light fixture was that needs to be filled in. That's showing the protruding area on the floor. Everything else was fixed on the flooring. The shower still needs to be corrected. And then I just showed AC units that they did provide. A lot of flooring issues. And again, it's hard to have them fix the flooring issues when you have somebody in there. The carpet is not an actual something that I can say is required, so they can pull that up if they want to. On September 2nd, I sent the owner's daughter an email explaining the violations not corrected and that I would be scheduling this case to the special magistrate. She said she understood and she would continue to try and get the violations corrected. On September 16th, I sent out a statement of violation and notice of hearing to the owner by certified mail. I copied the tenant by regular mail. On September 28th, I received another email from the owner's daughter stating that she would probably be representing her father at the hearing. She wanted to know if this was a meeting in person or by Zoom on October 21st. I replied that it would be in person. On October 19th, I contacted the property manager, Chantel, to see if there were any updates to the property. She advised that the building department was scheduled to inspect the water heater that was relocated. On Thursday, October 22nd, there is a civil issue going on in the court systems that I'm not involved in. The tenant did walk up to me during the meeting and advised that they have not been out to the residents since the last time I was there. So it's the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing the residential dwelling to be lived in without proper maintenance and repairs up to code. The city would also recommend that the violations be corrected by November 30th or accrue a fine in an amount of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $249.70 be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. That concludes my presentation, and I believe the respondent's daughter wants to speak on his behalf.
Do I understand the tenant is also here?
The tenants, 2 of the tenants are here.
Respondent?
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
And if you start with your name, please. I know it's been said, but if you start by stating your name.
Oh,
so that-
Chantel Jairam,
Thank you.
my dad's daughter. So we have been working with Mrs. House to get the house up to code. We acknowledge that it is in disrepair and it needs to be worked on. We've hired licensed contractors and we've shown improvement, and we've kept Mrs. House informed as we've gone along. Progress is now halted because the tenants are hampering our ability to do work. So, for example, the roof that needed inspection, twice repairmen have been scheduled to come to the property and they have not been present. Whether that was a mistake is what it is, but it is a hampering of the process. And now they are restricting access. I don't know if I'm allowed to enter things into evidence, but I have a copy of text message conversations that just show the general difficulty of scheduling around their days, even though my father is more than happy to be at the property when repairs are done and close up whenever it's over. They insist on being on the property when all repairs are done. And now I have a recent text message communication where they need 72 hours notice to access the property only when they are home, and they will not allow any more quotes to be done on the property because they don't like the parade of repairmen that have been coming to the property. So because of the situation, the remaining work that needs to be done would be best accomplished when they have moved out. So we started an eviction process. I have the docket here. We started that August 20th on the basis of non-payment of rent. And the court system has been more than slow due to COVID. So the tenants filed a motion to determine rent. That was filed on September 11th, and we had the hearing yesterday. That's how slow the eviction process is going. Okay. So that's one situation. We can't do it's generally a scheduling issue. Now it's a restriction of the property. A contractor will not wait 72 hours and then have to reschedule every 72 hours to go access the property. And working around their working hours or when they're present at the home is not realistic for the extensive work that needs to be done on the roof and the floors.
Before you continue, you had documents you wanted to introduce. Are these documents the city can keep? Because if you hand me something and I review it, we're going to keep it. If you wouldn't mind, if you would show it to the city's attorney before you show it to me, make sure there's no objection.
I don't know if I can get close. Yes. This is the.
No, there's no objection to any issue with regard to this.
You can approach and hand me those if you like, or the code enforcement officer, I think, is volunteering to bring them up. Thank you.
I have a few more things, but I wanted them in front of me while I speak to them.
You have more to introduce?
Yes.
You go ahead, and if you say, unless is that part of what was just handed to me? Or you still have something else in your hand that you want me to see?
Yes, I do.
If
but-
you would, again, same process, if
Oh.
you'll give those to city attorney while he's looking at those, I'll.
Could I speak to them before I hand it to you?
Oh,
and
you
bring
want,
copies?
you
I'm
want to
sorry.
speak to them before you
Yes.
show them to me? Yes,
Yeah,
you may.
sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so a few things. We understood that the eviction process, after our lawyer explained to us that the eviction process would be slow, as exampled by the time it took to just schedule the first hearing, I sent an email offering a settlement to let us know what you need to vacate the property. They did not respond with email, but verbally responded that they wanted $5,000 to leave the property. That's difficult when rent is $800 and my dad is on a fixed income. He's retired, he's 72, doing the best he can with the situation. So, yesterday, the hearing took place. I would like to read some stuff that was said to the judge, just to show that this is going to be a long process and the judge is in a tight spot. So here is written testimony by Patricia Mackey. It has, he has been ordered to go in front of the magistrate. I am asking for justice for my family and my past tenants. Bart is a serial renter with the hopes of having someone who will just deal with it and not expect him to fix anything. Please make him pay. So there's that. And then there's written testimony by Christina Dorking, saying, I feel that I have been victimized as well as preyed upon. I have discovered all that I have uncovered on this journey, and it is my wish that this court will finally recognize Bart Jairam for the predator landlord that he is, as it is clear to many that he preys upon the weak. Low-income individuals are easy prey for him, as it seems. Proof is in his history, and will speak for itself. It's a difficult situation. We are trying the best we can to get this is all to say we are trying the best we can to get the house up to repair, but we have an uncooperative tenants and unfortunate situation that we've landed in.
No, you're good.
Thank you. I have an order from the judge saying that the rent was reduced, but needs to be put into the registry, and then after that, she'll schedule a hearing for eviction. This is all to say that I would appreciate, because there's no life and safety issue, I would appreciate if the court, magistrate would allow us until a month after the lease is up to make repairs.
When is the lease up?
The lease is up is February 17th. I know that's a difficult ask, but we are in a difficult situation. I'm stuck. I have no legal means of getting the tenant out. I have no compliance from the tenant. I asked for the extra month just to get the house up to compliance after that. Again, we've been participating. We've been working with the tenant. We have a plan. My uncle has loaned my dad money to get it up to code. So we have the resources now. It just needs some time.
Okay. Anything else for me before I go through the documents you wanted me to review? Anything else?
That's all. I'm done.
Okay,
Thank you
stick
for
around at
hearing
the
me out.
microphone for a couple of minutes. Let me make sure I don't have any questions for you.
Okay. Sorry. Could I say one more thing?
Yes.
Sorry, just to let you guys know, my dad has 4 other families that he rents to, and none of them have an issue with him, so he's not a predator landlord. And they've all lived there over 2 years.
Do you know if there's a provision in the lease agreement that allows the landlord access to the property?
Not the best lease, no. I've since updated the lease and got my dad on track, but unfortunately that mistake was made.
Okay, don't go far. So if you want to stick around up near the front, that's fine, or you can go back to where you were. I'm going to ask for the tenant approach. And for everybody involved, understand that my role here is to hear the code violations. It is the court's responsibility to deal with the landlord-tenant issues. Mine is simply the condition of this property. But I will say, and part of the reason why I want to hear from the tenant is I am hearing that you are not making it any easier for the respondent to get these repairs done. And that may weigh in to what I order today, because if you're not giving them access to the property to make the repairs that are needed, it's hard for me to say it's reasonable for me to mandate them make those repairs in less time than they're asking for, which is until that property is vacated.
Right, I've not stopped them at any point from coming to the house if I am at work. Do I want them in with my personal things? No, I don't. I don't trust very many people with my personal items. I've been more than accommodating.
What is more than accommodating?
We had family member come from out of state twice,
Which I have email.
and while we were at work, our family members let them in while we were at work.
And we have videos and documents from our
Barat
property.
had texted me one day asking if he could have access to the property. I had told him that we would not be available. He still had a parade of professionals come through. I stood out there and I let them, even though I had told Barat that I would not be available that day because we were dealing with court stuff. I still let those professionals come in. I still let them look at the house. And the one roofer specifically said to us and our neighbor that was standing outside, I'm not getting on that roof. That whole roof needs to be replaced, and I will be letting the landlord know. Why she hasn't told code enforcement, that I couldn't tell you.
We had a parade of people come.
We had like 7 or 8 professionals come that day.
They would come
From
even after
8:30
he
in
was
the
gone.
morning to about 6 o'clock that night.
Yes. And any time that they've needed access to the house, yes, I've given it to them.
We've given it to them.
Or I've made sure that someone is there that can let them in.
But
Some things have been replaced and done. I will
Yes.
give them that.
yes.
But not everything has been done that has been asked of them. And it's been only through code enforcement that we've actually had repairs done.
We don't want their money. We just want them to fix the house so it's safe for the next people that rent it.
There was an actual case against him in 2013, code enforcement.
For the same issues.
issues.
And I have spoken to neighbors up and down my street. That house has been a revolving door. We are actually the longest tenants that stayed in that house, which is why we are fighting the eviction case.
I
I'll
have,
give you your chance.
I
Go ahead.
have documents from the
We
previous code
submitted
enforcement case.
over 100 items of documentation, proof.
Just, that's with
To the court.
Osceola County Courthouse.
Which
Yes,
we
we
have.
have. Like, I've tried.
Pictures.
Well, and
papers.
right now, I'm less interested in what's happened in the past. You know, my
Right.
focus is on the condition of the property today.
Right.
So,
After Melissa came September 1st, Barat left, went straight to the courthouse, filed eviction on us. We got it September 2nd, and we haven't heard a word from them since, outside of Chantel asking us if the electrician can come in for the inspection tomorrow.
She did ask. She submitted a text message to you that I responded, asking for access to
haven't.
the house on a Saturday. I said, I work. I said, I need a little bit more notice than that. Maybe the 72 hours was a bit much, but we agreed for the following
Because
Saturday.
I was going to be off. And I messaged her a day or two before and asked her what time she would be coming, and she said, oh, it's not good for me, or something like that. And then said she needed to get back to me and never got back to me
We haven't heard anything from either of them,
since.
and we've been there. I
We've-
don't go
we've
out
been there
and do
since
much.
February.
I have 2 kids, and I have a full-time job and a part-time job.
We both have 2 jobs.
okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
No, we just don't want them in the house with our belongings because
Without
Barat
us.
has destroyed some of our personal belongings, whether he intended to or not. He has, and it's costed us money.
Okay.
So
Well,
yeah, we don't want them
I'm
there
not worried
without us.
about that.
I
I'm not worried
can't
about
order
that.
you to do anything. You're
Yeah.
not a respondent in this case. So the only person that I can issue an order to is them. But where all
Right.
this is relevant to me is they have to be able to get the work done that they
Yeah,
need to get.
absolutely.
They need to get the work done. And I think I have some ideas there. So if you've introduced everything you'd like me to hear, then I'd ask you to step aside, and I'm going to give the respondent an opportunity to address.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. The clerk, can I get your names, please, for the record? If you'd state your names for the record, please.
Christina Dorking.
Patricia Mackey.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me respond. I was going to respond to a number of things they said, but again, you're not the judge. You
The
just want us to
personal
comply.
stuff, I'm
I
not
figured.
very interested in.
That's what I mean. They just agreed that they won't let us into the house when we need to be there. Like a roofing contractor won't come Thursday and Tuesday from 4 to 2 or whatever to get work done. So this is why we need some time.
How much notice do you think you can give them before you have somebody working on the property or that needs to access the property?
For the floors, that's the hard one. For the roof, so here's a situation. It's one of these wooden St. Cloud homes that are on piers. I think that's the word. So we want to make sure that the flooring is level before we touch the roof because it all has to like kind of build up to a point. In the interim, for the roof leaks in question, we've never seen the roof leak. We put a sealant on it. As for people climbing on the roof, I climbed on the roof and put the sealant. It's stable. It's fine. The roofing contractor, whoever came by to inspect the roof, didn't say that to us. So it's like a weird structural issue. Like I would rather fix the floors and build up and make sure the siding's all in place and then build to the roof, just to get it right the first time instead of having to do the roof, then do the floors, make sure they're level, and then the roof is like loppy. That's a predicament.
Okay. I see the city attorney has stood up. Do you have something? Yes.
As a suggestion to help with the magistrate's deliberation, my review of the Florida statutes is that the landlord has a reasonable right to inspect and repair when needed. Reasonable notice is dictated as at least 12 hours advance notice and repairs to be conferred between 7:30 a.m. through 8 p.m. with advance notice to the tenants. Tenants have an obligation statutorily to allow that access. Based on that law, irrespective of the eviction process, it seems like a reasonable compliance time for this respondent to get these repairs completed, which was in the best interest not only of the respondent, but the tenant, would be, I think that the respondent asked for some time after the termination of the lease, which we would not agree to. But I think that if the repairs could be completed by, I would say mid-December, December 15th, that's essentially 60 days from now. We're cognizant of the fact that if there's a lack of cooperation for the tenant, the respondent may meet some difficulty. The respondent has that opportunity then to come back before Your Honor to get more time at that point. But it would be in everyone's interest if compliance was achieved for the current tenants and any future tenants as well as this property owner. So that's what we would think would be a reasonable outcome.
And I was thinking along the same lines. One more thing for the code enforcement officer. So you had mentioned it, the respondent has mentioned it, and I think the tenants have expressed, some frustration there too with the flooring.
I'm not requiring anything to be done with the flooring at this time.
Okay. So flooring will stay as is, but is there an issue from code enforcement's perspective with the flooring that needs to be corrected, or is it something that is going to deteriorate and need correction in the future?
What I advise the respondent is that due to the fact I didn't put it in writing in my letter, that I would request that prior to, if these tenants move out, prior to anybody moving in, that the flooring be structurally checked. And then, because if I go through this issue again with somebody else, then it's going to be in the letter. But, I mean, at this point, nobody's going to fall through it, nothing like, it's structurally okay for them to be there at this point.
Okay, so no flooring included right now. You
Correct.
will follow up, and you may have
Correct.
to institute a new code enforcement case.
Correct.
Okay. And based on the evidence testimony received, find in favor of the city, find the property is in violation. Give the respondent until December 15th to correct all the violations or accrue a fine in the amount of $100 per day until compliance is met, and understand that those violations that we're talking about do not include any issues that you heard discussed regarding the flooring. All other issues will have to be resolved. Often what the city will do is they'll send me an affidavit of noncompliance, at which point I can then enter an order imposing fines. I am going to enter an order today that says I will not do that. I will only impose fines after an imposition hearing because I want the opportunity to hear if there have been issues between the landlord and tenant that have prevented the landlord from getting in. So if, hopefully it doesn't get to that point, hopefully you get all the violations cured, we don't have to sit here again and go through it. If we do, and you kind of did it today, but I will expect to see documentation and the efforts made, and probably if there are genuine difficulties caused by the tenant that aren't allowing contractors in, probably your correspondence between yourself and your contractors that are documenting that. So if there is a request to impose fines and your defense is going to be, we haven't been able to get access, I expect to see documentation of that, okay? I will order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city of $249.70. City has asked that be paid in 7 days. Do you have any hardship in paying that in 7 days? Okay. Then you will receive a written order. That 7-day clock will start when I sign the order. So the 7 days won't actually start today. It'll start the date that I date that order, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you both. Before you move on to the next case, let me get this over to you so we keep everything situated. This is just the evidence she submitted for you to retain. And that too.
Case number 2020-1380, Progress Orlando LLC, owner, location of violation, 3900 Trujillo Lane, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, St. Cloud Land Development Code, Sections 3.3.1F and 13.3. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed a fence to be installed prior to obtaining the necessary permits required at this location.
Good afternoon, Pam Neal, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 3900 Trujillo Lane. At this time, I would like to enter to evidence the following items: copy of the notice violation sent to the owner and the registered agent, copy of the notice violation sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the statement of violation notice of hearing sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, a copy of the affidavits of postings, the certified card signed for, the certified mail receipt, a copy of the deed to the property, a copy of the code sections in violation, a copy of the costs incurred if the special magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $230.20.
Thank you.
On July 21st, 2020, while on routine patrol, I noticed a new fence was installed without obtaining a permit at this location. On July 22nd, a notice of violation was sent to the owner and the registered agent. On August 7th, a reinspection was made and no fence permit was applied for. On August 7th, a notice of violation was sent to the owner by certified mail. On August 21st and August 31st, re-inspections were performed and no fence permit was applied for. On September 17th, a re-inspection was performed and still no fence permit was applied for. On September 17th, a notice of violation with the new date was sent to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall. An affidavit of posting was done. I took 3 photos showing the fence. On September 29th, I checked and still no fence permit was applied for. On September 30th, the statement of violation and notice of hearing was sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property in City Hall. An affidavit of posting was done. I took 3 more photos. The respondent is not here. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing a fence to be installed prior to obtaining the necessary permit required at this location, and to have the permit obtained by October 30th, 2020, or pay a fine of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would like to also recover the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $232.20 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the magistrate as well.
Is that it?
And that concludes my presentation.
Is this the same property that this respondent has been before me on before, or is this a different property?
No, this is a different property.
And to your knowledge, is there any reason that you see, I understand yet that you're not the permitting technician, but is there anything you see as code enforcement that would prohibit this fence from being permitted in its current location?
No.
It's a nice looking fence.
Yeah, it's
Just have to
nice.
get
It's a new
permit in for
house.
it. Any word from the respondent?
No,
Any
but they've
communication?
signed for, I think, one of the notices. I think they've signed, or maybe even two.
I know we had one recent case with the same respondent. It was just one, or did we have two? Do you remember? Have you had, in any of the cases that you've worked regarding this respondent, have you had any communication with them? Have they ever gotten back to you?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know if you've gotten compliance in the cases that have come, or the case that's come before?
Usually not.
Okay. Based on the evidence testimony received, I'll find in favor of the city, find that respondent is in violation for installing a fence without a permit, order the respondent to cure the violation by October 30th, 2020, or pay a fine of $100 a day until compliance is met. Also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs in the amount of $232.20, which to be paid within 7 days of the date of my order.
Thank you.
Case number 2020-1503, Quellis Group LLC, location of violation 611 Kentucky Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation St. Cloud City Code Sections 24-162A, description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed high grass weeds over the height of 8 inches at this location.
Good afternoon, Pam Neal, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 611 Kentucky Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice violation sent to the owner and the registered agent, a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, a copy of the affidavits of postings, the certified cards, the certified mail receipts, a copy of the deed to the property, a copy of the code section in violation, a copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds a respondent in violation in the amount of $251.05. On August 10th, 2020, while on routine patrol, I noticed high grass and weeds at this location. On August 10th, a notice of violation was sent to the owner and the registered agent. On August 25th, a reinspection was made and the grass and weeds were not mowed, and I took 3 photos. On August 26th, a notice of violation was sent to the owner and registered agent by certified mail and posted on the property in City Hall. An affidavit of posting was done. I took 2 photos. On September 1st, a reinspection was made. The grass was still not mowed. I took 3 more photos. On September 3rd, I posted the property and City Hall with a copy of the statement of violation, notice of hearing, sent by certified mail to the owner. An affidavit of posting was done. I took 2 photos. On September 18th, a reinspection was made, and the grass was still not mowed. I took 3 more photos. On October 2nd, a reinspection was made. The grass was mowed, but it was already in violation again, and I took 2 photos. On October 5th, I checked the alley, and the grass was not mowed. On October 13th, a reinspection was made, and the property was still in violation with the high grass. I took 2 photos. On October 19th, the reinspection was made. The property was still in violation. I took 3 more photos. The respondent is not here. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of high grass and weeds to be above the height of 8 inches at this location, and to have the grass and weeds mowed by October 30th, 2020, or pay a fine of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would like to also recover the costs in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $251.05 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the magistrate as well. And that concludes my presentation.
Any communication from the respondent?
No, I know before I had a case on it, a month or so before that, the grass was high, and I don't remember if it was Supervisor Sparkman or who had the city mow it, because it was extremely high. And it's not in foreclosure or anything. That's why I wanted to bring it to the special
Structure's
magistrate.
vacant? The
Yes, it
structure's
is vacant.
Okay, based on evidence testimony received, find in favor of the city, find that the respondent is in violation for allowing high grass and weeds on the subject property, require the respondent to cure the violation by October 30th, 2020, or pay a fine of $100 a day, which will run until compliance is met. Also order the respondent to pay the administrative cost in the amount of $251.05, which will be due to the city within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Thank you.
Case number 2020-1591, Anthony Parham. Location of violation, 2205 17th Street, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, 2015 International Property Maintenance Code, Sections 308.1 and 302.1, adopted by the St. Cloud City Code, Section 10-33, and the St. Cloud City Code, Sections 24-162A and 36-38A. Description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed an accumulation of solid waste, high grass, and exterior property areas to not be maintained at this location.
Melissa Howes. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, code section in violation of, copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $251.70. The respondent is here and has been provided copies. On August 21st, 2020, after receiving a complaint that the property at this location was a mess, I went out and I verified that the property is not being maintained in a clean sanitary condition. I took 8 photographs while I was at this property. This is from the front entrance of the property. The complainant lives next door, so I had to go on her property in order to see the rest of the property.
So all of these are taken from the neighbor's property?
Yes, sir. On August 24th, I sent out a notice of violation by regular mail to the owner of record to correct the violations of high grass and accumulation of solid waste and the exterior property areas not being maintained in a clean sanitary condition. I gave the respondent 10 working days to comply. On September the 9th, a reinspection was performed and some of the grass was cut and some of the accumulation was cleaned up, but the property was not in compliance. I took 9 photos. I sent out a notice of violation by certified mail to the owner of record that same day on September the 9th, and on September the 10th, I posted the property in City Hall with a notice of violation. I did an affidavit of posting, and I took one photo of the posting. That's what's being shown. On September 29th, a reinspection was performed, and the property was not in compliance. I took 13 photos showing non-compliance on all violations. Some of the areas were cut, the grass was cut, but. And that's just showing that there's a fence between the two properties. 29, okay.
Also, in some of these photographs, it looks like a concrete block wall.
Yeah, there's
Is that
some
a
kind of
boundary
concrete.
wall, or is that-
It's a concrete wall there that he's,
Is it a boundary wall, or is it
no,
internal
no,
to
no,
the-
that's on
it's
his
just-
property. That's on his property. On October 2nd, I sent out a statement of violation and noticed a hearing to the owner of record by certified mail. I posted the property in City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and took one photo of the posting. On October 19th, a reinspection was performed, and the property is not in compliance. I took 13 photos showing non-compliance. It's hard to get my camera to not pick up the leaves and blur the rest of my photos. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of high grass and accumulation of solid waste, and the exterior property areas not being maintained in a clean sanitary condition. The city would recommend that the violations be corrected by October 30th, 2020, or accrue a fine in the amount of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $251.70 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And the respondent is here. Did you want to speak?
Now, you also mentioned the neighbor was, you had a complainant as the neighbor here? No. Okay. Respondent?
Anthony Parham, 2205 17th Street. As far as the grass goes, my lawnmowers quit working at the beginning of the year. And I use the scrap metal because now that I'm not working as much, I take the scrap metal down, and that's how I make it through the winter months. And that's pretty much that.
Okay.
And as far as the 251, I would like 14 days to pay that if I can.
That's workable. First of all, let's talk about the violation, though. Lawnmower's been broken since the beginning of the year.
Yeah,
Understandable. You still have to mow the grass,
I know.
and you're gonna have to keep it mowed. Because based on everything that I've seen, and based on your own testimony, you're not refuting the violation. So that means today I'm gonna enter an order finding you in violation and ordering you to mow that grass. I expect that you'll mow the grass. If it gets to this condition again, if they have to cite you again, if I see you again, that means it's a repeat violation, which means from the very day they go out there and see that repeat violation, they can ask me to impose fines back to that date. On a repeat violation, I don't give you time to cure. I can impose fines back to when it first repeated, and those fines can be up to $500 a day. So the grass, important, keep it cut after today, okay?
Okay.
Figure something out with the lawnmower.
Yeah. I've been
Borrow
trying-
one, do what you have to
That's
do,
what I've
but
been trying
keep
to
that
do,
grass cut.
Okay.
Second, I want to make sure, and if we could just scroll to one of your better pictures of the kind of overall condition of that area. Actually, go forward too. I think you went past a good one, because I just want to use it. This is not okay. And I hear what you're saying. You use the scrap metal. If you're wherever you're bringing it from, store it like it's valuable to you. Make it look nice, because I don't think if he had scrap metal that he's using for projects, if it's stored nicely, you're not going to be hounding him, are you?
He's an AC contractor, so he brings all of the materials back.
Right.
And I understand that. The last time I cited him, I explained to him that maybe he needed to put up some kind of a the last time I cited him, I really worked with him and gave him some time to work on the property, and he did clean it up really well. And then when I got a complaint, because I can't see this really from the road, so it's all based on complaints, and understandably, the neighbor is, saying she's getting rats. And, she really didn't want her name put out there. However, in order to cure the violation, she had to do what she had to do. And I explained to him that there's, if you want to scrap and bring these materials in, you're going to have to break it down. You're going to have to store it somewhere out of the view, whether it's my public view or whether it's the neighbor's public view, their view. So, I've given him, he wouldn't even be required to get a fence permit if he put it between, his house and his garage or shed that he has there, and possibly keep it back there. But we have issues with other things, because I know he has children as well that he's taken care of on his own. And I've tried to work with him, but I'm to the point now where it's like we have to keep up with this on a regular basis.
So do you understand what is, and I guess you've been told before, but do you understand what she's telling you now, I'm telling you?
Right.
It's not that you can't do what you're doing, but if you're going to do it, be respectful to your neighbors, the community. Keep it stored in a way that keeps it out of view, keeps it stored nicely, makes it look like you're using it, like it's valuable to you, like I started off,
Okay.
and not just like it's junk and debris. Because when it starts looking like junk and debris, you wind up here.
Okay.
And the same will apply there. If you have to come back on this violation again, it could be a lot more costly for you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
And as far as the October 30th deadline to cure this violation, you think you can get it all the work that you need to get
believe
done
so,
by
yes.
October 30th?
I believe so.
Hopefully or probably? Most likely.
How about, October 30th? Maybe the middle of November?
November 15th. I can work with that, code enforcement.
And as far as the fine goes, where do I go to pay that?
Do you receive those at the clerk's office? My order, you're going to give them a card. The clerk will give you a card, and my order will also give you instructions, but if you want to go ahead and take the card now.
He'll have to call me.
So, based on the evidence testimony received, I'll find the respondent is in violation for allowing accumulation of solid waste, high grass, and not maintaining the exterior property areas at the location. We'll allow the respondent until November 15th to cure those violations. If not cured, a fine of $100 a day shall begin to accrue and will continue to accrue until compliance is met. We'll also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in the amount of $251.70, which amount shall be due within 14 days of the date of my written order. Okay.
Do I need to stay, or y'all? mail
You're
this
free to go.
out?
Thank
All
you.
right,
Case number 2020-1826, Diamond Homes LLC owners, repeat violation, location of violation, 1106 Oregon Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida. Violation, the St. Cloud City Code, Section 24-162A, description of violation, failure to prohibit but rather allowed high grass weeds over the height of 8 inches at this location.
Good afternoon. Diana Durbin with the City of St. Cloud, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I'm presenting this case for the property located at 1106 Oregon Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the statement of violation, notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted at the property in City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, the affidavit of posting, evidence of mailing signed for by COVID-19 and then John DeLulo on 9/25, the code sections in violation, a copy of the deed of the property, a copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $191.20. And the respondent is not here. This is a repeat violation. The previous case was presented before the special magistrate and found guilty on 8/19/2020. It was case number 20-1087 for high grass and weeds. On September 21st, 2020, during routine patrol, I observed high grass and weeds at this location. I took 5 photos. On September 22nd, 2020, I sent out a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail and posted the property in City Hall. I did an affidavit of posting, and I took 2 more photos. On 10/19/20, I re-inspected, and the grass had been cut, and I took 2 photos.
What about around the structure on the 1019 photo? Is that high grass or is that something else?
Around the structure, there's a little bit of weeds and stuff around there, but there's a lot of construction debris in there.
So you're allowing that to remain? because
Yeah,
of the-
as long as he keeps the main grass cut.
Okay.
It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of City Code Section 24-162A as a repeat violation for allowing high grass and weeds at this location, and accrue a fine of $500 a day from September 12th until compliance was met on 10/19/20. The city would also like to recover the costs incurred in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $192.20 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the special magistrate. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
So you're looking for $500 a day between 9/21 and 10/19?
Yes.
Have you had any communication from the respondent?
No.
Do you remember if the last time that they were brought before me, did they appear or did they not?
No, they did not. They did
And you
not
didn't have any
respond to
communication?
anything.
Given the lack of communication or responsiveness of the respondent, I'm inclined to impose a high fine amount. City Attorney, you okay with what that amount comes out to?
Yes, of course, whatever the magistrate believes is
About
appropriate.
16,000 for high grass and weeds.
Yeah,
Given, that's why I asked questions I did,
Yeah.
given the fact that they
Yeah.
haven't seemed to take much interest in
right.
my prior order, I'm inclined to impose that. Just wanted to make sure
No
that,
objection there.
okay. Then I will enter that order, find the respondent in repeat violation for high grass and weeds, order the respondent to pay fine of $500 per day beginning on 9/21/2020 and ending on October 18th, 2020. Also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs in the amount of $191.20, which amount shall be due within 7 days of the date of my order. Anything else from the city?
Unfinished business, none. New business, request for reduction of liens under 50,000. Case number 2018-401, Hung Jen Chow, owner, location of violation 1400 Indiana Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida.
Good afternoon, Jack Morrison for the city, Your Honor. These next 2 items are requests for reduction. I have copies of these absent the signature of the respondent. I presume you have fully executed copies. In short, this
Actually,
first
I don't
case.
either. I think that you took care of that before the meeting, right? So,
Right.
so the clerk has
Okay,
signed.
just making you aware,
Copies.
I've got Deputy City Manager Miller's signed agreement to these. This first case, 218-401, was a collection of grass growth, abandoned vehicles and such, with a compliance date to be met in May 1st, 2018. Compliance was achieved in mid-August 2018. Total fines accrued $26,235.88. The City has agreed to a reduction, flat amount of 5235.88 pertaining to those accrued fines if payment is made within 30 days of approval. I believe the response here. Do you wish to speak? Or do you wish to speak? You can if you'd like. You don't have to, but you certainly can. Sure, come on up if you'd like to.
Good afternoon. My name is Eileen Rachel Penn, spelled like Y-E-A-L-I-N-G. Rachel is my middle name. My last name is Penn. I'm the co-owner of 1400 Indiana Avenue. I did receive the violation from code enforcement regarding 1400 Indiana Avenue. These are 3 violations on this case. The first one is a high grass weeds need to be cut under 8 inch. The second one is exterior property area are in need of being cleaned up, especially in the carport area where our mattress, garbages, etc. The third one is there are 2 abandoned vehicles on the property. One is the maroon Ford Taurus with no registration tag. The second one is a green colored car with flat tire. And both of them, both of the vehicle inoperable, so both in violations. And we did code enforcement ladies, Melissa and Terry, they were very helpful. So I did due diligently working with them, and we took care of the first 2, the high grades and also the clean up the carport quickly within the 10 days. But then when we meet with Terry or Melissa again in the property, they point out this at the end of the property, there's several tall trees and tall tree stumps need to be removed. She said there's many young, kind of young kids, they hide in there doing drug activities. So, so that's kind of become also part of the violation too. So we also get the professional company to, taking care of that. We spend thousands of dollars to taking care of that. And the last part is the abandoned vehicle belong to tenants, and we asked them to remove them, and they only cooperate with 1 car, the one with the flat tire. The second one, they just, not cooperate. So we end up need to do the eviction to get rid of the tenant, and in order to remove the car. So that part takes time. So the violation looks, we are not really cooperate, but we did. But the problem was the drag on so long because the last car. So I want to, and we are willing to come up for $2,200 because of the COVID situation, and also we did spend thousands to taking care of this violation, and we did try our best to cooperate, and so I just want to have that opportunity to see we can reduce to $2,200.
Okay, so I'm looking at the agreement, and the agreement on case 18401 is for $52,3588. So is there agreement between the parties on the reduction amount?
The agreement that the city was aware of was the 523588. They hadn't reached an agreement to less than that amount, as this agreement was reached on Friday.
Can I speak? Am I able to speak? They had asked for a lower amount, but the city manager determined that it should be higher. So he did make that amount, and I did speak with Mr. Eddie Pan about the city manager's decision.
Okay. And so the signed agreement you have there is for the $52,35?
Correct.
Okay. So I appreciate you making the request. I'm not a big fan. I'm happy that these can be resolved. I don't like seeing fines that accrue get scaled back. I'm happy that they do. I'm happy the city does what it does. But there's a reason it got so high, and that's always my reluctance in scaling back. And so I rely on the agreement of the parties to tell me that city's happy, respondent is happy. And based on the agreement that we have, I am going to reduce the fine as requested, but I am going to reduce it exactly as requested, which is to the $5,235.88. And that's paid within 30 days. If it's not paid in 30 days, it will revert to the other amount, and I will enter an order to that effect.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 2018-2017, Hung Jen Chow, owner, location of violation, 1116 Florida Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida.
Jack Morrison for the city, Your Honor. The same respondent, different property. This property relates to 1116 Florida Avenue. Case was heard in July of last year. Unsafe residential structure not due to not meeting the minimum living standards, dangerous to life, safety, health. Order entered for compliance on or before August 30th, or a resulting fine of $250 per day. Compliance by my settlement document here states June 8th, 2020. I would think the total fine accrued would be in excess of the amount showing here, $33,250, but for discussion purposes, the parties reached a proposal recommended settlement amount of $5,000 flat to be paid within 30 days. And so Deputy City Manager Miller had signed off on that, and so the city is recommending that as a settlement amount.
Okay. Anything else from the respondent?
My name is Eddie Pan, representing Mr. Chow, the owner, who is currently outside of country visiting his son. I asked him, do you want me to say anything to the magistrate? He said there's two things. Number one is actually he hasn't rent this out for the past 2 years. That's number one. And number two, he did fix the problem sometime this year. I didn't know the detail, but during the pandemic, and he said he didn't know where to report to after he's done the job and fixed the violation. So there's two things he want me to tell you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So based on the agreement of the parties, I will approve the reduction in fines to the amount of $5,000, which amount shall be paid within 30 days. If not paid within that time, we'll revert back to the original fine amount, and I'll enter a written order to that effect.
Next scheduled meeting, November 18, 2020.
I have one thing for code enforcement and for the clerk is, did we hear everything that we had? Making sure everybody who expected to be heard got heard. Is there anything else from the city? I have one thing before we close. No. The clerk sent me the affidavit of non-compliance on ADMC Designs LLC, and that's one that in the last hearing, I don't remember exactly what the issue was, but there were some issues on compliance and I had said in that one, kind of like I did in one of those today, where if I was going to impose fines, I wanted that one set for an imposition hearing, because I wanted to hear if there were any reasons, valid reasons for the delay. So I did not enter an order imposing fines on those, and I would ask that that be set for hearing if the city would like to move forward with imposition of fines.
Okay, which case is that again? I'm sorry.
It's case number 2020-701, ADMC Designs LLC.
So we'll have that set for the next meeting before you
Fine
in
with me.
November?
It's
Yes,
fine with me.
okay, sure.
All right, anything else?
Claudia, you got that okay?
Good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.